and welcome to my third Illuvium Economic update. So today we're going to have a quick look at all the things affecting the Illuvium price, or the ILV price, and we're going to have a look at the things that might be contributing to the Illuvium economy at the moment. There's lots to talk about, lots of airdrops, lots of incentives, and yeah, some crazy things happening in land. So we're going to have a look at some charts. We're going to take a look at land prices. We're going to talk about staking and revenue distribution. And we're going to discuss all the different ways you might be able to earn some extra dollars playing or staking or getting involved in the Illuvium economy. So before I jump over to the charts, I do just want to give a quick warning, especially when it comes to charting. I think there's a lot of new people that have sort of just recently discovered Illuvium. I can tell that from any of the streams I run. There's always questions from people who are obviously new. So I don't know how many of them are involved in crypto. And in my experience, trusting someone else's charting is never a good idea if you don't know how to read a chart yourself. So it's very easy to pull the wool over someone's eyes if they've never really done any research into charting themselves. And I'm by no means a skilled chartist. I have a few basic skills, and I understand how to read the price and time and all that sort of stuff on a chart. I have a few basic techniques that I like to use, but I'm not making price predictions. I'm not trying to work out what's going to happen in the market next. I'm just trying to understand what I'm looking at. Now, a lot of people online will try and tell you, they know what's happening based on a chart. And if you don't understand charting yourself, you're not going to know who's giving you good information, who's giving you bad information. So you'll always assume it's bad information. Don't make financial decisions based on other people's charts when you don't know how to read them. And if you do know how to read them, that's great. You'll probably be able to identify very quickly whether or not someone's competent at what they're doing. So that's just a quick warning. I don't generally make financial, or I don't make guesses or predictions on the charts that I use. So now I've warned you all about charts. Let's jump over to my charts. Great segue there. So I'm primarily focused on Illuvium in this channel. But I do look at other stuff. And if you are into Illuvium, you do have to keep an eye on what's happening in the broader market. So the obvious ones you need to keep an eye on is Bitcoin. It runs the market. You always got to keep an eye on what's happening in Bitcoin. You should always keep an eye on ETH. And next, of course, obviously Illuvium. So they're the three main ones you need to be up to date with. There's plenty more you can look at, but they are the main ones. Reason being, ETH is bonded to Illuvium. I think it's the main trading pair, so that's where all the liquidity is, in the ETH Illuvium pair. And obviously Bitcoin runs the market. So if you look at this chart in front of me, let's have a look here. Basically for the last month and a half, maybe a little bit longer, we've just been moving sideways. In fact, right back to March, we've been moving sideways. We had a good dip here, and we've come back up to this same area, and we're at our second attempt to break out of this 72k zone. So, I mean, Bitcoin's fluctuating much less than the rest of the market at the moment. So this dip here we had over the last few days, it was only maybe a 5 or 6% move for Bitcoin, but the rest of the market has moved quite a bit more than that. ETH has moved more, and the altcoins have moved way more than that. It's been quite a bloodbath for some of the alts in the last few days. So Bitcoin's hardly moving at all, and the market does seem to have panicked a little bit in the last couple of days. Like, oh my God, is the bull market over already? It just started. Well, it hasn't really started. Not the main part of the bull market anyway. So this is just another opportunity for accumulation in the whole market. So Bitcoin's a little bit weak, the altcoins are really weak, and that's when you want to go after your altcoins. And Illuvium's one of the ones I'm still looking at. So if we look at the ETH chart and see what's happened, you can see it's moved down way more. We had this massive pump here just a couple of weeks ago. I think that was the ETH ETF announcement, or it might have actually pumped just before the announcement and then did nothing for a while after the announcement. We've basically moved sideways, and now we're showing quite a bit of weakness, and it's going down again. And meanwhile, Bitcoin's hardly moving. So Illuvium's much the same. We had quite a down period here, a few days of just constant down, and sorry, my chart's being a pain in the bum. So then we broke out, and it looked like we were about to break out here, because this was quite a good move to the upside after such a consistent down period. And everyone was talking, we're about to break out, and then boom, we've set a new low for this period here. Still haven't broken this low over here from, 2-3 weeks ago. So basically we're back in a really great accumulation zone. And it's quite surprising considering how much bullish news there is for Illuvium. I mean, the biggest hurdle for Illuvium has always been connecting a good game and getting it functioning and working on a blockchain. And the team have already proved that they can do that. It's up and running on a blockchain. It may be testnet, but it is a real functioning blockchain. They've proved they can do it. It's reliable. There have been very few issues. There haven't been any like security breaches or anything like that. So it really is quite surprising to me that there's not more people sort of aping in at the moment. The game's good. People like the game. The team have showed a consistent effort to improve and build the game and get it better and better and better. And I don't know, if you're watching this channel, everyone's been listening to the AMAs and the town halls and all the stuff that's coming. I mean, there's a lot of really cool stuff coming, and revenue distribution is about to turn on. They've got to turn it on soon. The token release is almost finished, and that's just another bullish thing. There's no more inflation in a couple of weeks. The token's out. It's done. So I'm not sure if there's still tokens from founders that might be locked up, but even still, there's not that many that are locked up still, as far as I know. So these are all really bullish things. So that's about it for the charts. Yeah. So basically, the alt market is showing a little bit of weakness at the moment, and until we get a bit of a move up from not only Bitcoin but also ETH, I think all the alts are going to be a little bit weak until something changes. So even though there's a little bit of bullishness from Illuvium, we're just not going to do anything amazing until the overall market sentiment changes a little bit, and I don't think that's very far away. But yeah, so we'll move on. We'll have a little look at land prices and see what's going on over there. So first we'll have a look at the analytics. I've done this a few times. Nothing much has changed in the last few months as far as land. They fluctuate up and down a bit, but it is nice to go over it and have a look and see what's happening in the market. So sales volume, 17 ETH over the last 7 days. There is a little chart here. Yeah, so if we flip that to 30 days and see what that says, quite a bit of fluctuation. So I don't think land's moving quite as fast as it was, say a month ago. But it is still selling, and a lot of it is selling cheap. If we have a look in here. So basically this current chart is sorted by lowest price. So that's all tier ones. And something I discovered the other day, which is making the prices look really cheap on the tier ones. If we open this window. So this plot is if you look over here, this plot is listed as a plot you can purchase it's a tier 1, and it's purchasable for 11% of an ETH basically. But you go into the plot, it's not listed, and this plot's been up there for weeks, but but it was last sold. Let's have a look on the 6th of the 6th. So 6 days ago, this plot was sold, and it has not been relisted, but it's still on the for sale page, which is, I think, a bug. I've only seen it happen on the tier 1s. So all these plots are actually not for sale. If I just double check this one here. Yeah, this one's unlisted as well. So you can't buy this plot. The only reason I worked this out is someone I know tried to buy one of these plots and they couldn't do it. Just come up with an error. And the reason is they're not actually listed. So I don't know why they're showing up on the for sale page, but it made me think that the prices were much lower than they are, because I think this is the first one that's actually listed. No, that's not listed either. Let's check this one. Here we go. This one is actually listed. You could buy this one if you wanted to. So currently the cheapest tier 1 land is 15% of an ETH, which is a lot more than 11% of an ETH. There's $150 difference in USD there. So that's interesting. So that might have given people a false sense of what the actual value of tier 1 land is at the moment. Before we check the others, we'll look at the floor prices. Yeah, so tier 3 floor is down. Tier 4 floor is down. Tier 1s and 2s are pretty close to the average for the last 6 months that I've been looking at the prices. So, yeah, that's interesting. So we'll have a look at the tier 2 prices. Yeah, so tier 2 prices have come back a little bit, closer to 30% of an ETH than 40%. And they did get up around the 45% of an ETH a few weeks ago. So there are still people dumping land, which is interesting. Maybe they're trying to get into ETH for the ETH ETF. Maybe they think their money's better there. Or maybe they just hold too much land. Let's have a look at the tier 3s. The tier 3s and 4s are really interesting. Okay, so quite a bit sold over the last few days, I think, because I did check this a few days ago. So, I mean, a tier 3 below 1 ETH is pretty good value if you ask me. That's an outstanding price, 82% of an ETH. Let's just have a look who's selling that. Close that. Yeah, so that one is up for sale for 0.82 ETH. And a few weeks ago, they were 1.3 ETH for a tier 3 land. So I think it's a new low for the Illuvium land. If you are looking to accumulate it, that's a pretty good price. That's lower than the price I paid for mine. But I am not buying any more at the moment. I've got more land than I can possibly manage. And the tier 5s aren't released yet, so we don't bother looking at those. Yeah, so tier 4, I can't remember what price that was going for not that long ago. I think it was around 4 ETH, and we've come right down to 2.6, so that's looking really good. If you look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plots, they're all the same wallet. So it's probably a big wallet that's dumping quite a bit of land. So this wallet here, Izzy, I think so. He's got them all listed for exactly the same price. Yeah, same owner. So that's interesting. While he's in the market, obviously, if anyone's desperate to sell, they've got to undercut him. So that's what's happened with these two. So that's going to keep driving prices down. So until this guy's out of the market, you're not going to get a rise in tier 4 prices. So again, that's a new low for the tier 4s. Probably a good time to buy. Not financial advice. Last thing we'll check before we move on. So I like to check recent sales. Most recent sale, which is that filter there. You can see what's sold and when it's sold. So the last sale for a tier 1 was 15% of an ETH, just like I said. So the that sales page for the tier 1s is quite deceptive. they're not selling for 11% of an ETH. Not unless you make a an offer to someone and they accept it manually. So people aren't listing them for that price. And yeah, tier 2s 33%. Lots of tier 2s and tier 1s selling. Yeah, tier 3 for under an ETH. Tier 3 under an ETH. But it looks like mostly tier 1s and tier 2s moving, which is probably why that price is quite stable, whereas the tier 3s and 4s have sort of come down a little bit. Very interesting. All right, let's... we should talk about a few other things while we're here. So, yeah, I talk a fair bit about land prices, and I definitely believe land's going to be a good investment, but is it right for someone to just jump in and start buying? You know, I would say no. Most people do not want to be a land investor in Illuvium. It's a very hands-on investment. So the Illuvium land came out quite a while ago. I think we've been waiting at least a year and a half. So once the game goes live, land is probably only going to be a good investment if you're actively playing the land and possibly even actively playing the overworld. So what does that mean? That means unless you've got a portfolio, probably of Illuvium and maybe Ethereum and, you know, whatever other cryptos you might think are good investments, you don't want to just jump straight into land because you want to play Illuvium. You probably want a stable, good portfolio before you even look at land. Land I see as a high risk investment that people who are involved in the ecosystem should be looking at. You probably don't want to jump straight into land just because you found the Illuvium game and think, oh, that's how I get fuel. I want to play the game. You can do that, but it might not be wise because you're going to end up jumping in without knowing anything about the land or what price you should be paying, and it can be quite tricky doing these kind of things. So if you're just new to Illuvium, maybe consider getting the token and staking that for a little bit first. Once you got your knowledge up and understand how these things work, maybe then you can put maybe 5 or 10% of your investment into Illuvium land. It shouldn't be your main portfolio. I mean, it's not even the game. The Illuvium game or the land game is not even out yet. Illuvium 0, so it should be a small percentage of your investment, not the main part of your investment. So if you're not going to jump into Illuvium land investment straight away, what else can you do? So probably if you're a real beginner, probably the best thing you can do is to take part in the beta. So there's lots of incentives at the moment. They're running hunts to capture alluvials, which give you raffle tickets and potential rewards. There is an airdrop happening at the moment. So basically, all you got to do is play the game to take part in the airdrop. The more game time you get, the larger the airdrop. So if you really are new, that's probably the first and best way to get involved. That might even earn you some ILV in the airdrop. If you are more advanced than that and you're into crypto, you can buy the token and stake it. The token release is almost finished as far as I know, so you probably won't get a lot out of the actual staking. I think the interest is only around 2 or 3% at the moment, and there's very little benefit to joining the ILV/ETH pool at the moment, especially when it's almost finished. So you could stake. Once the game goes live, and we do have a set date for that, I believe it's July 25th. So once the game goes live and people are actually spending in game and selling things on the marketplace, a percentage of all that income is going to go to the Illuvium DAO, and revenue will be redistributed back to the stakers. So that's all turning on very soon. So that's probably the simplest way to make money out of ILV, just staking the token and waiting. So that's your passive investment sort of position in the Illuvium world. If you are more hands-on and you actually want to play the game, then maybe lands for you. But at the moment, staking's definitely easier if you're not so hands-on with games and stuff like that. And there, if you are just into gaming and not a crypto investor, airdrop's the way to go. That might get you started in crypto. Yeah, so I think that covers pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. Like I said, different types of investors are gonna benefit more from different parts of the Illuvium ecosystem. So token for staking, land for people who are more hands-on with the game, and if you are completely new, just create an account. I've got a link below that you can use to create an account. Jump in, give the game a go, earn some airdrops. If you like it, you might hang around. If not, well, it doesn't cost you anything to try it out. The game is set to go live on July 25th, and that will probably be a pretty big event. That alone could start the pump on ILV. If not, we're waiting for market conditions to change, and it does look like, there's a lot happening very soon. We got a US election soon. We've got interest rates announcement. I think that's happening tomorrow over in the US. So that the market always seems to freak out a little bit in anticipation of what's going to happen, and then nothing really happens. But that might be one of the reasons we're a little bit down at the moment. Maybe people are expecting an interest rate change or expecting a freeze. I don't know. So yeah, there's a lot of things holding the price down at the moment, and I would consider that a lucky opportunity to consider buying more at the moment. So that's all I wanted to say for today. We'll do another one of these in a month or so, or maybe after the release. We'll wait till after the release of the actual mainnet launch. There probably won't be a great deal happening until then. So yeah, we'll schedule the next one for after mainnet launch and see whether Illuvium's successful or not. I'm betting on it being a success. So yeah, stick around and come check it out. Thanks, guys.